These evil minds have programmed you to have limiting beliefs, to literally hold you back in life so they can monetize your failures, so they can sell you products and promise you success. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to deprogram yourself and then correctly program yourself and your subconscious mind. Not only can you break free from these limiting beliefs, but find a way that you never fall prey to these limiting beliefs or any future limiting beliefs ever again. Let's get started. When people have limiting beliefs that typically stem from childhood, it starts to become a recurring pattern in your life. You start to notice similar events happening, like attracting a track of toxic partners or a certain kind of relationship or certain things around money. You know, you can never hold on to money or you can never break past a certain barrier with money. And you notice this kind of pattern happening throughout your whole life. And this typically is something that has been unresolved, typically stemming from childhood, a part of you that has been unaddressed, a part of you that you've been running away from. Only things that we've been running away from keep chasing us. So limiting beliefs that you have that are unaddressed, they're typically unconscious, and that's why they need to be brought to light to fully be individuated. For people who want to overcome limiting beliefs, the very first thing that needs to happen is the limiting belief needs to come to surface. There needs to be awareness on the limiting belief. And the only way to do that is to go fully into feeling. Ask yourself, what do you feel is causing this? And typically, one feeling produces 1,000 thoughts. So for example, if you have a feeling of fear or closed off, or you feel pent up when you think about something, you get stiff, your jaw gets tight, there's something energetically that needs to be dealt with. And the best way to deal with that is a method I like to call the surrender method. Dr. David R. Hawkins, in his book, Letting Go, he talks about this method. It's very, very simple. Whatever is arising, and typically when you're confronted with the situation in your life where you feel that feeling again, that familiar feeling of stuckness, that's when you have to perform the surrender method. And the way to perform it is by whatever's arising, allow it to arise, acknowledge it, and allow it to exist. Then, step 2, feel into it fully. Kind of like a pressure cooker, it lets off steam and gets less and less heavy the more you do it. And step 3 is to keep repeating this as it comes up in your life. The biggest mistake most people make is they think accepting something means they keep perpetuating it. So they're afraid of accepting. So they keep running away from it. They're like, oh no, it's not happening. It's not real. It's some voodoo. Like you're just imagining this. There's some woo-woo, mindset BS that you're just imagining. But the truth is, this is the stuff that causes real change, because the stuff that's happened in your childhood that you're unconsciously holding on to is what's causing what you're experiencing in your life right now. So one of the biggest limiting beliefs I had was that it's not easy to make money. And I had that belief because I always saw my dad being really, really stingy with money. And I remember when I started my business and I told my parents, hey, I'm not gonna go into a traditional 9-to-5. They did not take it well. Let's just say that. My dad would come into my room every single day and be like, oh, did you make any money with your business? Did you make a sale today? And that would really affect me because I felt like they weren't supporting me. But deep down, now, after going through that, I realized that they just wanted what was best for me. They were afraid. They were projecting their fears onto me. When I went through that period, I became very, very stingy with money and protective over the little money that I had made. And it prevented me from being expansive, from spending money to grow my business, from, having the experiences that I wanted in life. I was always holding on to money. But then when I started to meet wealthier and wealthier people, I just started to see how freely they spent money and how less stingy they were. And of course, you meet some rich people who are also stingy, but it's not the right attitude for everyone, because the right attitude for someone is what allows them to fully express their own unique, authentic self. If you feel like you're holding back a part of yourself, that means you're not living in truth with who you were meant to be. I overcame that through this surrender process, through actually journaling my feelings and just writing down how I felt. And I started to notice this pattern happening. I would always get anxious around business when money was slow and when I was taking on a lot of financial responsibility, like with 2 mortgages. I always felt like, oh no, money's going to run out. It's coming. And lo and behold, that's what starts to manifest because you start to focus in on that. And I overcame this actually through this surrender process, going into that feeling of scarcity, of protectiveness, of trying to hold on and just staying with that feeling and accepting it, accepting that this is what it is. And that's okay. It's completely okay to feel this way. It's completely okay to feel like money's going to run out and you're going to die. die. It's okay. This is just a survival conditioning. And soon it ran its course and I started to open up more and more and I started to spend more and more. Like my wife and I took a trip to Europe for 5 nights and we must have spent north of like 15,000, like almost 20K on this trip. And in the past, like a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have never done something like that. So I found that bizarre at how old Quazi would have been like, new Quazi's being too loose with money. You should protect it. You should save it up. But now my attitude has completely changed and I don't view money as something to be hoarded and saved. It's more like it's to be traded in for positive life experiences, because guess what? You can't take money with you to the next life. For people who believe that they're unworthy of achieving big things in their lives, it's because they've never really rewarded themselves for achieving the small things. They've never really gotten into the habit of rewarding themselves and being proud of themselves for the little things they've done. If you're someone who's a very high achiever, you went to college, you got a degree, got a great job, you started earning an income, but you still, I have this client who still doesn't feel like she's good enough. No matter what she does, she just doesn't feel like she is enough. And that can never happen until you start noticing places in which you are already enough. You're already good enough. And the only reason that happens is because you have a standard of what's good enough and you are not that. And you will never be that, because the Alex or the Lisa that you're looking up to, that's Alex and Lisa. That's the perfect definition for Alex and Lisa. They're walking their own path. You're trying to be like Alex and Lisa instead of being Elizabeth or John or whoever you are, instead of fully owning that Elizabeth John that you actually are. So when you start to give yourself permission to be who you are, this is how I am and this is perfect. This is how God intended for me to be, and that's okay. I don't need to be like someone else. I need to simply walk my own path, and more every single day. Your metric for success doesn't become how much money I made, or am I more like, Lisa or whoever I named, but am I more myself? That becomes your new metric of success. And every time that you are more and more authentically and uniquely you start rewarding yourself, you will quickly see how that unworthiness turns into full self-acceptance and feeling so good about yourself that you'll always feel like there's a spotlight on you. You're going to walk around and feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm the center of attention. Like I feel so powerful, so energetic. Only way you can feel that is when you have owned your own skin. You've owned who you are. And you're not trying to change yourself, you're not belittling yourself, your relationship to yourself has completely changed. In 2024, as of right now, I truly do believe it's much more difficult to get to that stage, because you're watching Keeping Up with the fucking Kardashians. You're watching Instagram stories of other people, and people with fake lips, and people with fake cars, like they're renting out cars and pretending like it's theirs, the luxury vacations, and they're flaunting it and saying, oh, you should try to be like me, buy my stuff and do this like me, and you should, try to copy me. And they fake happiness and fulfillment, and they create this standard to be desired. But the truth is, that's not for everyone. Just like society has done that with instilling within you that you need to go to school, get a degree, get a good job, then retire at 60 when you're miserable, old, and your retirement savings don't probably even mean much because inflation has probably eaten it all up. And then you can live your life. But ask yourself this: would it be worth sacrificing these 40 years just for that? Or would you rather sacrifice that to live fully in this moment? So 100 years ago, when you didn't have social media, it was so much easier to own your own path, because nowadays people aren't even living their lives. They're living through social media. They're trying to live someone else's life. Children are growing up and they're watching these fucking vlogs of other children or other kids, other people living their lives, instead of them going out, experiencing life, experiencing nature, experiencing friendships, authentic connection to life themselves. But we spend most of our time, unfortunately, in front of screens. So it's infinitely difficult, because something is just pounding you. It's just programming you every single day to want this, want that. This programming done by society to keep you enslaved is partially intentional and partially unintentional. What I mean by that is someone definitely wants you to believe a certain set of beliefs. They want to capture your attention. And throughout history, all monarchs have done this. They used to have messengers or, people in court to give messages. But now the scale of propaganda, it's that the word for it is propaganda. And there's a very famous person who's done this, Edward Bernays. He has created many of the popular slogans that you see, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, or, cigarettes make you skinnier. Like a lot of those existed in the past, and only now when you look back at it, you think it's bizarre. So it makes you wonder what you would think. I think in the future, there's going to be social media usage stations because they're going to discover how toxic it is to the brain, and maybe screen usage stations, just like they have smoking stations now. But in the past, you could smoke anywhere. You know, it was like a healthy thing to do to smoke cigarettes. It's very intricate. You know, how this system works is very, very intricate. It's almost like chess pieces. If there is someone up there, which probably there might be a very big corporation that has a hand in everything, they are probably 12 or 15 or maybe even 100 moves ahead of everyone. My client success manager did an interview with one of our clients, Miriam, who had completely transformed her life 180 degrees. On May 6th, she posted this time last year, she was renting a room from a relative, waking up with a knot in her throat, aimlessly going through day-to-day, arguing with friends and family, feeling terrible all day and blaming everyone and all the circumstances except herself. She was binge drinking, binge eating, and this was just a coping mechanism for her to deal with the passing of her dad. Fast forward a year later, now she has a home healthcare business, her very own business. She just bought her own house. She did over $500,000 within the first 6-7 months of this year in this brand new business. And lastly, she mentions how she looks and feels the healthiest that she's ever been in her life, and she has an amazing support group. She has started to view herself in a completely different light. If you want results like Miriam and you want to work closer together with me and my team to accomplish this for yourself, all you need to do is go to realitycreator.com/apply. You'll be able to fill up a short application, which will take you no longer than 5 minutes, and then potentially schedule a call with my team to see if it would be a good fit. Full transparency, not everyone will qualify for this call because we're looking for a certain kind of clientele, because the number one thing we care about is getting results. And unfortunately, we can't get results for everyone. So we want to make sure that the 25 clients we work with every single month, we can get them outstanding results. So if that sounds like you want to really work together in a one-on-one mentorship setting, just go to realitycreator.com/apply. And I am looking forward to seeing your application.